Here on this earth, did I take more than I gave? Did I... I just took a break, okay, and now it's back to work. God made a way, that's the only way it works. I'm gonna walk this way till they put me in the dirt. May your kingdom come as in heaven on this earth to me. It's now it occurred to me. Hell gon' burn like third degree. If you know your history, Jesus paid that purse for me, and he took that curse from me. If you think that's perjury, well, you better learn to read. Hey, me and my baby girl in one accord, call that double dutch. I've been walking with the Lord, can't be doing such and such. Wait, I took a minute, but now I'm back in it. If God isn't with it, I don't want to visit. I went independent, instead of repenting and cut out that fake. I just took a break, okay, and now it's back to work. God made a way, that's the only way it works.
Welcome in, everybody, to the In Off the Bench podcast. My name is Jim Cross. I had a little technical error there off the top because I added a little extra on the video. Daniel, man, we've talked about it. These guys are built to be the next champion. We've had so many of these guys on the show. So, why not put the who's next? Daniel, man, you held it down last week without me. As a matter of fact, talking Texas A&M baseball with Clayton. How'd it go, man?
It was good. When you get to talk high-level baseball, it's always a good day. But Clayton was, exactly what you would expect from a Texas A&M guy. Giving me all the goods and all the feels for what could be a magical season, man.
Absolutely. Well, before we invite our next guest on, Daniel, I sent you the picture, man. Bro, 20 boxes, not even exaggerating, 20 boxes came to my house, and I brought the Smokehouse Barbecue for you. Chinook Eatery is not only the best in the game, but Daniel, making sure that we are taken care of, because these boxes aren't for me. These boxes are for me to take to the players throughout the season. So essentially what I'm saying is they're taking care of their people. They're taking care of their guys on the field, obviously me along the way. And so shout out Chinook Eatery, 8 flavors, mild to wild, the best in the game, less salt, no sandpaper tongue. But while we're talking about excellence, man, we got to get into Texas A&M baseball. Wyatt, how are we doing?
Guys, how we doing? I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Like he said, got to talk to Clayton. We talked about talking to Hayden and Jace and, Gavin, Ryan. The talent and character on your team, it's just an infectious culture that we want to be a part of. We do this every year, but we find teams that are not necessarily our teams who we root for that we like to be a part of just because they got something special going. But before we get into all things Texas A&M, we got to get your story. And before we do that, we got to break the ice. I got to talk to you, man. I, like to talk music with the guests. And I thought of a new way to ask this question, Daniel. So I'm going to ask Wyatt this. If you could pick anyone to do the upcoming halftime show, who is it?
That's a good question. I got a really random music taste. I think I like a little bit of everything. I think Chris Stapleton is up there for me, just the best all-around voice. I think he would just wow me.
He had arguably the best national anthem. It's worth debating. Sure. Daniel, is Whitney Houston maybe the only person that was better than Chris Stapleton?
Yeah, 100%. It's not no offense to Chris Stapleton, but he's not even in that category because there's just nobody else that can do it better.
Yeah, I don't pretend to know how to sing, but the way I understood it, my wife explained it, she hits levels of octaves or whatever that no one else can hit. So she sets the bar. But Chris with a whole different, using his technique, his style, and it was one of those ones that made you want to cry. So if he did a halftime show, me and Daniel aren't even the biggest country guys, but I'm 100% all in. Who would you have joining them? I know you got to have somebody because it's never one guy.
That's a good question too. I guess you can kind of get a feel. I'm kind of a country guy, but one of my friends.
Don't do it, Wyatt.
What do you think I'm going to say?
If you say somebody that rhymes with ballin'.
No.
He's a Texas A&M guy.
Random. It came to mind. My one of my friends from Penn that I went to, he went to school with. He went to George Strait and Chris Stapleton concert together, and I thought that was pretty cool. A little bit of, that'd be a little slow for a halftime show, but I think Zach Bryan would be cool. I mean, you got to have a kind of country mix. I don't know. I'm not creative enough to think of another good answer, but those are just some voices I definitely think would be really
Hey,
cool.
I like it. It just tells me you got, a style. I mean, and the fact that you like George Strait, he's the greatest of all time in most people's book. And so
Jim, that's like George Strait's batting 800 for the start of the new year. Like it's a pretty hot guy with the guests these days.
I mean, and consider it like this, Daniel. I mean, he's my parents' favorite artist. That's why I went and saw him so many times as a kid. And so for him to cover not only my parents' generation, mine, and then to Wyatt's is doing big things. But I got to ask you, Wyatt, I seen a video released by Texas A&M today at the scrimmages, an absolute bomb hit by you. Was that today?
That was Saturday, I think. We did 4 innings Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it was one, I think maybe Friday.
Well, they released it today, and Daniel, man, ain't nothing better than when I know we got Wyatt coming on, and then I see him in this highlight video smoke one. So it just told me we're talking to the right dude. So with that being said, man, Daniel, go ahead and hop into his story.
I'm carried away watching this video again. I had it on Instagram pulled up, and it's just fascinating. I love watching people swing the bat, man.
I love to start with Hayden Shot just being Hayden Shot. Like you set the tone.
I'm telling you, but
2 of us looking goofy in some 100% glasses we got the other day.
That's how you do it, man. I mean, that's how you know you guys are ready to get things going because you're loose, you're relaxed, you're probably tired of playing each other. You just want somebody new. But as we, do with every episode and every guest, we got to jump into your backstory and get a little bit about you. Obviously, Texas A&M is where you landed, but, where's home for you?
So I'm from Emmaus, Pennsylvania. It's about an hour 15 outside of Philadelphia, about an hour and a half out of New York City. Originally from New Jersey a little bit. That's where my family's from. Migrated out to Pennsylvania and then did 4 years at Penn, and now I'm down here in College Station.
Look at you. I mean, this is what I know about Penn. You got to have a big brain to go there. So, I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit of that when we, talk about your time at Penn. But if I go to your hometown, like I always ask guests, like, what's the one thing that I need to do, taste, touch, feel, experience, smell? Like, what is the one thing?
That's such a good question because that's such a good question. I really don't know what I'd go with there. I think one of the things that's really weird that most people wouldn't know about is if you drive like 20 minutes away. And this is not how my area is specifically. It's much more suburban, but very normal. There's a lot going on. But if you drive like 20 minutes west, you could run into some Amish people. And I got nothing wrong with the Amish, but it's pretty weird seeing a horse and buggy these days next to you on the highway. So no, I don't know. It's a pretty normal area, pretty quiet. There's a little bit of everything going on. It was great living close to the city, being able to drive everywhere. So nothing too crazy, but the Amish was a little bit of a scare the first time I saw them, but they're really nice.
I mean, when somebody hacks the world like you see in these movies, the Amish are going to be the ones that survive. The rest of us are going to fall apart.
I mean, part of me is like, I don't want to live that life every day, but like part of me would appreciate like no technology, no nothing, just kind of just getting rid of all that for a brief period of time and just going back to making everything simpler. That's just me though.
Yeah. Super random. Yeah. I don't know why that came to mind, but yeah, there's some Amish down the road.
So outside of the Amish, being your neighbors, who else lives with you? Mom, dad, brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 3 boys. I got 2 younger brothers. One's in the military. One's at a private school in Pennsylvania called Messiah. He's a freshman. So we're all really close in age. Growing up, just driving my mom nuts, I'm sure. We got a little dog. But yeah, we were super active growing up, just playing sports together all the time. I stuck with baseball at a young age, but we were always playing basketball in the backyard. We have a half court in my backyard, doing all kinds of nonsense. So
when you say active, does that mean y'all are fighting a lot?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no doubt. Definitely a lot of that. Definitely, my parents really limited us being on technology too much. We had a woods and a river in our backyard, so it was more just stay outside and do whatever you want. We don't care if you get hurt. Just be outside and be boys.
Just don't kill each other.
Yeah, exactly.
If you break something, that's fine. We'll go fix it, but just don't kill each other.
Yeah, have a fire, burn the woods down, whatever you want to do. Just don't sit on your butt and all day and like a couch potato. That's pretty much what my dad wanted. So,
obviously getting to the level of athlete that you are at a, a very prestigious university like Penn, and then being able to transfer and do the same thing at an SEC school like Texas A&M. Who would you say throughout that journey of your baseball career, who's the biggest baseball influence? Is it like a player that you idolized? It was a coach? Was it a parent? Was it your brothers?
I think I'm really fortunate. I've had a lot of voices in my baseball journey that have really poured a lot of energy into me. I think I pride myself in being a student of the game, always trying to learn something different and new and take in new perspectives. So I think I can't really pinpoint a specific coach. I've had, numerous that I could rattle off a ton of names: my high school coaches, my travel coaches, my Penn coaches, my coaches here at A&M. But I think the most important for me was definitely my home life, especially my dad. I think he was really focal in me as a voice in my head to really push me to chase with my dreams early on. And it's kind of why I focused on baseball early. Not that he put any pressure on me to do it, but really, helped me lean in that direction that, this is something that could, really start my life off in a positive note. And at the time it was to use baseball as a way to get the best degree I possibly could. I didn't really see baseball going as far as it has. So I think he's definitely been my biggest role model in getting me here.
Who's your favorite baseball player?
Growing up, it was definitely Derek Jeter, big Yankees fan. Grandparents, my grandpa was a huge Yankees fan, loved Derek Jeter. Grew up being a shortstop. So that was a big idol for me growing up.
All right. So football, how does this work? I know you said you had ties and connections to Jersey. You're a Yankees fan with a Derek Jeter, as your favorite player, but you're right outside of Philly. How, like, when it comes to football, like who are you rooting for?
Yeah, so growing up, football wasn't huge early on. There wasn't like a team I was raised to love, like the Yankees and baseball. But so when I was a kid, I had a little thing going with the Broncos. I don't really know why. It was a little thing. It kind of grew out of it. It's more of a childhood thing. Like Peyton Manning was there. I loved Peyton Manning. He was my favorite player. But then being in Philly, experiencing like the brotherly love that I grew up kind of hating, but then starting to love. Being able to, like, again, Chris Stapleton kind of came to mind at football just because I remember being at a sports bar during the Super Bowl my senior year at Penn, and hearing him sing and going to tailgates and stuff. So I kind of became a Birds fan and, definitely cheering for them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That's rough. That's rough. I'm sorry,
it's
man.
Not that bad. It's not that bad. We might be able to end this little Chiefs run, but I don't know.
They're gonna win. I don't know why you're shaking your head, Daniel. Not only did I call it before the playoffs started, I did that post. I showed it to you a month ago. I said, it's very simple, Eagles. Just give Saquon Barkley the ball and don't try to do too much in the pass game with Hurts, and you'll win. And here we are. They only did like 17 passes. They didn't just feed, Saquon Barkley, but our boy from Memphis. So, like, they got it now. Just run with your quarterback and your two running backs.
He's quick.
Two touchdowns to start the game. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Jim's quick to tell you who he picked. Why don't you ask him who I picked? All right.
Who would you pick?
The Chiefs, because they're the champs until somebody beats them. And all these people saying they ain't the same Chiefs, like,
yeah, you're also the same guy who mocked me for picking Washington to beat Detroit. And what happened? You're not doing
a lot of people. I mean, you pick the one game that 95% of the people we know pick the same team. You're the 5% that pick Washington.
Anyway, the Bills Chiefs is the first game I've gotten wrong in this, and I'm so mad. I just want the Chiefs to go away.
It is what it is, man. But Wyatt, talk to me a little bit, because it's been a minute since we've ran into the COVID issue where you're losing seasons, and you actually lost a senior year of high school and a first year of college due to COVID. So, when you look back on that particular moment, like, is that hard to kind of deal with? Or were you, after the senior year losing it, you knew you were already committed and you knew you had a spot, and so you're just whatever. And then the first year at Penn, it's like, all right, well, maybe this is a good thing. I can take a step back and kind of get my feet under me. I can see where there could be some good and some bad with not being able to play, but I'm sure it's still a pretty big hit when you miss out on 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, I think now that I'm kind of reaping the benefits as you were from that time, I can say that there's definitely some benefits, but no, at the time, it was just like for a lot of people during COVID, it was, the most trying, time that I've ever had, that I've ever been a part of. And I think it was really tough for me socially. I'm a very social person. I feed off other people's energy, as you might be able to tell already. I'm a conversationalist, but, being locked up at home for me was really tough. And then, going into senior year, like you said, I kind of knew where I was going already. I was kind of 1 foot out the door, as much as I didn't want to admit it. I was really excited about going to college and, getting that taste of freedom like everyone is. And, getting that held up too hurt. So I think I just found a way to be productive. And, my parents were very helpful with it. And I actually was landscaping like crazy just to keep me busy. I worked for a landscaper instead of going to school because I had no credits or time left in school. I only needed to finish like 2 classes or something. So I was actually just working a ton, staying busy. I'd work out way too much. I was in probably the best shape of my life. So I just found a way to be as productive as I could. And I think it definitely hurt me a little bit early on. I feel like I went backwards in baseball for a time period, but I was, like I said, I was just able to find ways to be as productive as I could, but that kind of drove me nuts. So once I finally got to school, it was great to be able to work for a spot. Luckily, we were able to play a couple games. We played 14 games my freshman year, so it felt like something. And then I got shipped off to summer ball. I played in the Coastal Plains League. I was able to get like 200 at bats. And that's kind of when I realized I was a little behind, but I was able to catch back up. And that's kind of where I got my confidence with baseball. And I think that really took me forward.
Well, where did you get all this brain confidence, man? Because like it's clear to me, like you go to Penn, but obviously you got to get into Penn. And jabronis like Jim and I, we're not getting into Penn. All right, but you're in high school, baseball scholar athlete, National Honor Society, high academic honors awards. Like, are those part of the reasons why you went to Penn, or you wanted to go to Penn out the gate so you knew academically like you had to pull your own weight?
I think it was a mixture of both, and I realized how tied they were as I got further along into high school. I think early on it was I remember having a conversation with my parents and my dad, especially around the 8th grade. It was, that you're going to have to take some initiative in college. You're going to have to find your own route. So for me, that was baseball. For my brothers, it was my youngest brother plays volleyball. My one brother went to the military. So we all kind of found our own little niche of what we love to do and be able to tie that with academics. Because my parents were very future oriented and reality focused for me, that, sports are great and it's my love. And that was what, was at the focal point of me choosing a school. Don't get me wrong, but, sports are going to end someday. So how can I set myself up to be in a great spot, especially financially? So I was able to find my way to Penn. Penn was not anything I ever really knew about. I had visited Penn State before I visited Penn. I had no idea what the University of Pennsylvania was. And then they came around and, I had a great relationship with the coaches right out the gate. I saw the opportunity to get a life-changing degree and really enjoyed being in the city. I love being busy, and Philly never ran out of things for me to do. So that's kind of how I found myself there.
Well, what I love about your answer is that's the way me and Daniel came up. So to hear this many years later, you were going understanding that academics was why you played ball. You were playing to get that degree. Nowadays, it seems to be more of a money grab for a lot of athletes, but understanding that school is what you're doing. And so to hear that was your priority. But I got to be honest, after 3 years, you batted 354, 181 runs, 54 home runs, 189 RBIs. You set every record that Penn had. You were the Ivy League Player of the Year. So is there a certain point, like I can tell you're a humble guy, but there's a certain point there's got to be like, okay, like I'm here for academics, but like baseball's my thing, and like this is a real future job for me.
Yeah, I think I never wanted to sell myself short, but I always want to be realistic with myself and be where my feet are and just kind of focus on the next, step in my process and getting myself better. And I think, like I said, I went and played in the Coastal Plains League. I did well. That was the first time I really saw some home runs pop up. I think I hit 7, 8 with a wood bat. It felt pretty good for me. I'd never put up those numbers before. And then I came back my sophomore year and I had a pretty good breakout year. And that's kind of when I realized that, baseball had some more room for me and more future opportunities than I think I expected. And that was kind of when the portal stuff started bouncing around. I remember I started working with an agent. He got me set up in the Cape. I was still really focused on finishing my time at Penn, but starting to see some of these opportunities pop up and, kind of just kept going down that line. I changed my degree a little bit. Originally, I was doing philosophy, politics, and economics. It was a big degree that, it's for guys that don't really know what they want to do, but it's really broad. You can go to law school, med school, whatever you want to do. And then eventually just stuck with political science. So I had some more time for baseball. I got to work off the field. And yeah, I think just kind of put my foot down and just kind of stick with the same process I had for the last 8 years. I didn't really change anything, but like I said, just trying to be a steward of the game. And, here I find myself at, in my opinion, the best place to play college baseball in the country right now. So.
No doubt. And, I'm glad you brought up, during the COVID stretch, being in the best shape of your life, working out, because one of the things I noticed, looking at the pictures of you year to year, but looking at your power numbers, clearly you were somebody who, had to have been gym rat, because you don't just get big like that swinging the bat alone. Was that something that you genuinely prioritized, not just COVID, but continue to be in the weight room? Because I know a lot of guys want to reach a certain weight, be it, a certain area. Is that something you prioritized?
100%. I think the weight room, not only for performance, but even just mental health, I think it really gets you in a great spot. I'm sure I know you guys know the feeling, just being around sports and active people. I'd assume it just, the weight room is a good place just to get yourself right, your mind, your body, and really project you in the right direction. So ever since I was probably around 15, I really started taking the weight room seriously. I had a trainer / coach / teammate, if you want to call it, maybe not teammate, but a guy that worked out the same facility as me. His name was Lou Trevino. He played in the big leagues, still in the big leagues. And I remember he came up to me and we had a conversation. I don't remember exactly the wording, but it was something along the lines of the weight room will change your life. You got to stop half-assing it. Something along those lines. And that's kind of ever since then, the weight room's been something I've taken really seriously and has 100% changed my game. And I think I came into college probably around 195 pounds, and this season I'll play at the heaviest I've been. I'm probably like 220. Baseball is becoming a more physical, fast game, and I'm not the fastest guy, so I have to make up for it in strength. Strength's something I've always been able to use in my game, so that's something I've really prioritized, and A&M and Penn have both prioritized for me.
Yeah, no doubt. And, we both love the gym. I actually use it for the main reason you just talked about, mental health, but Daniel's somebody who's a fitness coach, trains at like 6 a.m. So we can highly appreciate, the work ethic, because, there are guys who don't want to put in the time like that. They just want it to come easy. And so I love a grinder who understands the benefits of it physically and mentally, and it paying off for you. And hey, man, it's not a bad thing when you hit it over the fence and get to jog around the bases instead of having to run. There's no doubt. But ultimately, let's talk about, you kill it for 3 years at Penn. You talk about the portal options open, and you obviously choose A&M. But I know there had to be a lot of phone calls, a lot of people reaching out. So what was that one thing that made it A&M? Because I'm sure it wasn't just the easiest decision, even with as great as A&M is. There had to have been that one thing that made it stick out over the rest.
Yeah, I think that I've tried to answer this differently, but it always comes back to the same point for me. I think for me, my decision in anything I've done and is just to do it with the right people and surround myself with the right people. I think you can get caught up in some of the flashy things or little things, but at the end of the day, it's who you want to be around every day. And I think I made that decision to go to Penn, and those are the best 4 years of my life. I made every decision to stay there. I never wanted to leave. I finished my degree there. I enjoyed every second of it. And I never want, my time here or elsewhere to overshadow that either. But at the same time, it gave me a great opportunity here. My coaches, they were very supportive and helpful in helping me get here. When I was a senior, I think it was September or August, I got in the portal as soon as I possibly could. I knew, pretty much no matter what happened my senior year, I was going to still play in a fifth year. I was very set on it. Just felt like it was best for me as a person, where I was at in life in general. And they were very supportive of it. I was able to take some visits in the fall, my senior year at Penn. It kind of become a process. One of my old teammates there played here last year, Jackson Appel. So there was kind of a track record of this is kind of how things go. And they were very supportive of it, like I said, and just found myself very tied to the people and the culture of A&M, the coaching staff, all the players, most of which came back, which is great. So I go into a lot of detail with this, but for me, it was really about surrounding myself with the right people, and obviously some stuff changed, from September when I committed here the first time to, after the national championship this year. But at the end of the day, this is where I want to be, and Coach Early was a big part of that.
Yeah, when you talk about people, you can't be in a better locker room situation. Like you said, the guys all coming back, the chemistry, the leadership. But, Daniel had talked about it, the pros and cons of the COVID thing. But for you to be able to obtain your degree, get it done, and then come come here and, ultimately play for a championship and hopefully go to the next level. It feels like it all just lined up. And it's crazy how that can be because, in real time you're losing your mind, but here you are down the road and it just works out perfect. So it's a beautiful thing in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, again, I could list off so many different reasons, but like I said, I think if you bring yourself around the right people, all your goals are going to get accomplished. And I love college baseball too much to leave, and I want to win at the highest level. So the national championship's the goal. And I think right now it's pretty cool. We've been, getting the recognition that, we're, favorites in this and that. And I think it's been pretty cool to see how we've kind of come around that, to not take it arrogantly, but just to, it's exciting that people, see what we see in each other. And that's something we've talked about a lot. And, now we're just kind of putting our foot down and getting to work. So,
Wyatt, I've never asked anybody this. I don't even think we've had the opportunity to really ask this question, but I'm curious. All right. You go to Penn and you get a degree. All right. You walk across the stage, for all intents and purposes, you have a piece of paper, you have a diploma, you have the ability, if you wanted to go out and get a job. When you're back on a different college campus and you've already graduated and you have a degree, like, do guys look at you differently as far as like, oh shit, like this guy like knows what he's doing, like he's like a voice of reason, he's like a leader, without even having to, call yourself that. And do you get annoyed with some of the things that you see, like now that you are obviously, when you're 4 years into college, like you're at a different like maturity level than what you would be your first year in college. So do you any of that or witness any of that going on with some of the guys?
yeah, I think you'd be lying if you say you don't notice some of the differences, especially in age and maturity. I think one thing I've really appreciated here is just the culture at A&M is that it's a very welcoming group. And I don't think it's hard for people to really understand the, the culty culture that goes on here. Like, I know there's a lot of critics about it, but it really is a very welcoming group. And you kind of feel like you're on par with everyone. But at the same time, I think there is that recognition of, the older guys. And I think when I was a freshman, I know, I had some great seniors at Penn that really welcomed me in, and you can just sense the maturity and the voice of reason that you get from someone older, and you really want to ask questions. So for me, it's kind of a reversal where, I'm very active and in the batting cages and practice on and off the field with some of the younger guys that, if they have questions, I'm very much someone that's, there for them and someone that can help, guide as best I can. So that's something I really do prioritize in a leadership aspect, but it is pretty cool to see some of the younger guys recognize that, as older guys like me and Hayden that have kind of been around the block a little bit, not to say we have it all figured out, but, have some good life advice too.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's almost like an extension of like the coach can have reliable guys in the clubhouse without them having to oversee every little aspect of the team. And I'm sure the guys appreciate that too, because, as a player, like I didn't want to be felt as though I was micromanaged as a college athlete. I wanted to have some freedom and flexibility. Obviously, there's expectations, standards, and rules that you got to follow and and abide by, but you also want to feel like you have some autonomy to make decisions for yourself. But for you, before you head off to Texas A&M, you have the opportunity to play in the Cape League for the Bourne Braves. The Cape League is fascinating to Jim and I. We are hoping to get a chance to go out and just be a part of it. We don't necessarily have to, like, what I would like, the dream would just to be able to like cover the baseball in the Cape League for a bit, but like have like a home family where like you could stay and kind of like
The host
feel
family.
like, yeah, like you're in it and just
Because
kind of
we
get
watched the
that
movie
aspect.
Summer Catch in high school like 100 times. So even though there's some not realistic parts of that movie, the foundation to what Daniel's talking about, staying in the home and the town being small and all that, and kind of knowing everybody, just seems cool.
Yeah, summer ball is a really interesting thing. And one of the things I want to highlight too about my experience in Bourne, and I think it's easy sometimes to highlight some of the highs of, someone like me that's coming on the show is the highs. But for me, that was a real low. That took me a while to recognize as a high. So my experience there was great. My host family was great. The baseball really challenged me and for the better. I really struggled big time. But my hitting coach was Jared Saltalamacchia. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the name. And he really changed my game around. And I haven't really talked to him a lot since. I wish I had, but he's really changed my game forever through my struggles there. So the Cape is a really life-changing space. I think there's a lot of guys that I've talked to that have had similar experiences as me where they've struggled, but it's changed them for the better. There's also a lot of guys that have made their money there, and there's so many generous families there too. So it's an awesome place. I really recommend checking it out.
I mean, we've had guys from all over the place go, and there's been various levels of accomplishment and like even disappointment in some. I mean, Jim, like Cam is one that comes to mind. Like he was a great baseball player. I mean, at Mississippi State, he was amazing.
It's
So
actually funny. Like a few of those Mississippi State boys that were champs went there, and it was like humbling. And part of it may have been the fatigue just from that run, but nonetheless, like Wyatt's talking about, it's still on a mental note. It's in real time. It's defeating because you never want to struggle to that degree.
Yeah, but do you think it hardened you? You think it really was what you needed to prepare yourself for this coming season?
100%. I mean, it took me a long time to remember it. It was a very low time. I feel like I was falling out of love for the game right after being on a high. So I think for me, that was a big time just to recognize that baseball is a roller coaster, just like, life. I think there's going to be highs and lows. And that was definitely my lowest. I think it was, the first time I feel like I was finally beat, like in the least arrogant way possible. I feel like I was going like this going into my sophomore year. I hit 380 with like 14 or 15 as a sophomore. It was like a redshirt freshman year, I guess. I felt great. My confidence in baseball was great, and I had a low, and I think that low transitioned my junior year, and I didn't know how to address it. And I think being able to understand who I am and my own identity, not just as a baseball player, was big there. And I think once I got through that and worked through that, that's kind of when my numbers, shot up, mixed with some, different skills I picked up along the way.
Oh, definitely, for sure. When you think about the talent level that is in the Cape League, when you look back on it, who are some guys that you were impressed to either play with or against?
The first name that would come to mind was Matt Shaw. He was my teammate. I sat next to him on the bus every day, and he's tearing it up. He's going to be a big leaguer this year. He was the Cape MVP, and again, learned a lot from him too. I think I was struggling, he was tearing it up, so it was pretty much just like me asking him questions all the time on the bus. But just trying to learn and be around guys that love baseball, that want to compete at the highest level. You kind of just learn what makes people tick and what are some of the cues and little tips that they have. So he was definitely a name that I was super, super impressed with. That was on my team. Played so many guys. I'm sure like 30 years from now, there'll be like 25 big leaguers or something I played against or something. So he's a name that comes to mind.
Did you play? Was Cade Smith on that team?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
He's been there next year. Yeah, he lives down the street, but he's a guy who's
really?
the Yankees organization now, which I think he struggled there as well. So just talking about understanding that it may not necessarily go well, but let's talk about A&M. When you talk about the difference between Penn and College Station, just how much of a culture shock was that?
I mean, the perfect storm. Honestly, I think I made a decision to go to Philly for the chance to live somewhere I'd never live again, and I wanted my experience for my last year of college baseball to be somewhere where I was going to win, but also a completely new space, see if I like it. I love College Station. It is completely different in every aspect, socially, weather, politically. Everything's completely different, but it's been a great culture shock for me. It's really been great to experience it, and the people are unbelievable. So.
Yeah, and right on cue, the people. I wanted to talk to you about that. The fall exhibitions, the amount of people that were in Bluebell. We got to talk to the guys about it. That was unrivaled. I mean, I'm an LSU fan, and we get some big crowds in the fall, but not what y'all did. And I can't say I've seen that anywhere else. So, we talk about all the right reasons for picking somewhere, but when you see that you have a fan base that locked in, just how awesome is that?
I mean, it's special. I don't think I really don't think you can find the loyalty that you get from that fan base anywhere else. I'm probably biased, but I mean, I've kind of been around college baseball a little bit. I wouldn't say like I'm at all like a nerd for college baseball enough to know the ins and outs and haven't experienced everything. But even having talked to other schools, played in regionals elsewhere, we played in a fall environment that was better than both the regionals I was able to play in the last couple of years, and those were packed out. So not to diss any of those schools, but I'm pretty biased that we have the best fans in the country.
I don't think it's biased because we have opposing players come and say that environment is the hardest when they play in because the fans are so into it. The crowd, there's never empty seats. And so when you have other guys saying that, and we're talking about best of the best, we're talking about champions from Tennessee, Mississippi State, LSU, stuff like that. Like, so I really think it speaks to that 12th man. It's awesome that that's the name of it, and that the fans really come like that. And I'm going to be there this year when my LSU boys come there. And I've talked to every LSU guest we've had. Daniel, tell you, I tell them be ready because it's going to be real. And it's crazy because they're going to be coming off having Tennessee at home, and then they got to go there. And then after they play y'all, they got to come back home for Arkansas. I mean, it's this, the SEC is like that in general. It's not like it's unique for LSU, but it's an absolute gauntlet. But to have right there sandwiched in those two hard series at home, got to go to College Station. It's going to be real. But I want to talk to you about that lineup. Obviously, we know you can rake, but when you look top to bottom, there's not a hole. A lot of teams like to say that. There literally isn't. And no matter where you end up in that lineup, you're going to have a guy in front of you and behind you that can hit. What's it like that that comfort level knowing, you're going to have the opportunity to knock guys in, and there's going to be guys that are going to knock you in every game. The offense is just going to be explosive.
Yeah, that's another, huge point and why I wanted to come here. I think just like anyone, you have a dream of playing in the big leagues, and how else are you going to get better if not to surround yourself with hitters and players that are better than you every day? You hold each other to a high standard every day in the cage. We talk about, a lot of people ask us about actually how competitive our cage sessions are. Coach really talks about it a lot. If you're having a bad day, you got to find a way to catch up because there's 4 other guys that are raking that day. So it's not something that, it makes practice hard in the best way. It's super competitive, but also like you feel like, I think in the game we played Houston Christian, our first fall game, and that was the first little taste of it. And that, again, that's without Jace, Hayden, and Gavin in the lineup. And we're just thumping balls left and right, back to back to back. And it's fun. It's fun to be around. It takes so much pressure off. You feel like you can play so freely because you're all kind of protecting each other in the lineup. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what we're able to do this year.
Yeah, you just brought up the word pressure. I didn't actually have this as one of my questions, but I think about it. Wake Forest had that number 1 ranking coming into the season last year, even though they weren't the defending champ. And they didn't seem to handle it well. What does Coach Early say about because Daniel always talks about that target on your back can be a serious thing, and it can be heavy. What does he tell y'all about not worrying about that ranking and just playing ball and taking care of business and not worrying about, as great as it is to get that love from every ranking system, but to not worry about, that number 1 next to you?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Something I personally didn't really know the feeling of. I think I've always kind of, my whole life, I feel like it's been more the underdog mentality that I've been a part of. I've never been on a team with anywhere near this caliber. I don't think most people on our team haven't. But I think one of the things I really appreciated about how he's handled it is that he addresses it and we acknowledge it. I think it'd be really easy for us to just pretend it's there or make a big deal about it. But I think we've recognized it and we've moved on from it and pretty seamlessly, honestly. Like there was a conversation about it in a team meeting, and that was pretty much it. Maybe a couple guys throw it up on their story or something, but I think we've talked about a lot, like I said earlier, that it's really just everyone else recognizing what we know about ourselves. And we don't take that as pressure. We take that as credit, and that's fine. So I think moving forward, we just recognize that, we have the tools that are capable of doing it. And I think we're the ones that stand in our own way. And I think the biggest thing we've talked about is the biggest problem and threat to our success is staying healthy. And just, if we can stay healthy, we can keep continuing to have, that fun competitiveness that we stick to. I think we're in a pretty good spot. So I think just recognizing it and moving on, ready to start on opening day.
Daniel, one of the things I hate about social media is folks always try to tear down folks. But I'll be honest with you, it says something about A&M because usually when somebody's ranked number 1, all these fans of other teams will find something to say. Daniel, no one has anything to say. Man. Like literally, like there's no trash talk because they know that the ranking is deserved because this is the same team basically from last year with some extra ammunition.
Outside of Tennessee and just saying, well, what I always say, you're the champ until somebody beats you. Like, it's hard to make a argument really for anybody, and only because yes, the transfer portal is hot, but like there is a lot of transfers, but it also, you got to have a nice core of people coming back. And I think that's what A&M has is that core of guys that's coming back. They're difference makers. Maybe for other teams, they will have transfers that are difference makers. But when you're looking at trying to rank people, it's hard to go, well, even a guy like you, Wyatt, it's hard to say, well, what's it going to translate into from Penn?
100%.
So you kind of have to look back at, well, we're ranking these guys off of what we know. And, we're going to take what we know off these transfer guys coming in and go, all right, well, let's how does this play out? But anybody that can find any hole in Texas A&M not being pre-ranked, number one, good luck.
And what I love is you talking about the guys coming back. Wyatt, I'll tell you this, it's one of our, claims to fame. This is our 5th year doing this podcast. Every year, whoever we had the most guests on from the won the national championship. And I bring that up to say we know because most of the guys we had on were upperclassmen and veterans. And this team is the only team I can really think of in the country that is similar to other teams, because that Mississippi State in 2021 team was low, because that was the year where a lot of guys didn't go in the draft because of the COVID that would have never been there normally for Mississippi State. Ole Miss 2022 is heavily stacked. Obviously, about the talent of the 2023 LSU, and then same thing with Tennessee. And so very rarely, is there a team that comes back like this. And a lot of guys coming back, obviously, like a Ryan Prager, hungry for that championship. So, Daniel, I think this is the only team that has this many veterans on it like this that are established, talented, mature, have the chemistry already. It's just hard to not see this team in minimal. Obviously, y'all's goal is championship, but this team's not in Omaha. I don't know anything. But with that last question I got for you, Wyatt, man, you get to face the pitchers. You get to see these guys. Obviously, we know about the main core guys coming back. Tell me about a couple pitchers that maybe we need to know about who got some electric stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's something that's been overshadowed a little bit. I know there's a lot of, media and presence about our offense, but our pitchers are pretty legit, man. I got beat up pretty good this fall a little bit. So my hardest at bat mostly this fall, and the other day he diced me again. Miles Patton, huge guy to look out for. Really good left-hander. You're kind of watching him warm up and you're like, okay, he's throwing 991 and seems pretty like what you'd expect. And then his ball is just kind of invisible. So I think he's going to be a great addition for us. I think, you got guys like Prager, Lampkin, hard not to highlight those. Those are my top 3 in my eyes. They've been my hardest, most competitive at bats, but there's so many others. I mean, our bullpen looks pretty legit too. Caden Wilson has looked really, really good. Another lefty. We had Ty Baker the other day. He's throwing, upper nines with a really good breaking ball. I can go on forever. We have.
Well, and like you said, it's hard for them to not be overshadowed. People are going to talk about the lineup, but the pitching staff is nice and it's deep. And I actually think it probably helps them, right? And no one focusing on them, it kind of probably takes the spotlight off them to where they can fly under the radar. They know how good they are, but they don't have to worry about everyone talking about them, and they can just do their thing.
Yeah, and I think one thing that should go to show, even in our scrimmages, it's very even. I mean, you're not seeing the hitters dominate one day and the pitchers dominate another. It's very, very even. I think the other day we played 4 innings and, there was probably, between the 8 innings thrown by our staff, there's probably 7 hits, giving up 6 hits. It wasn't a ton. So it's very even, for, every hit you're getting 2 strikeouts. So that should go to show how competitive our pitching staff is. And JK is doing an awesome job. Big fan of him. He's a great coach from, a lot of times you don't get to, as a hitter, you're not around the pitching coach as much, but it's been great to be around him. And he's been a great addition. And I think the pitching staff's going to be pretty legit.
I mean, Daniel, what he just said, a lot of times you obviously, when you're watching fall, you want to see your hitters hit, right? But your hitters can hit in this lineup. So you want to see your pitchers pitch. And so what he's saying is music to my ears if I'm an A&M fan.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a deep bullpen, it's this thing that I like to call, you got options. It takes the pressure off everybody when you have lots of options. And, 1 through 9, you guys can swing it, but I bet not, 10 through 18, whoever those people are in whatever given scenario, they can hit too. And so the depth of just the it's just very balanced and very deep, and that's what you got to have these long runs. And you guys did a masterful job of putting together a very good ball club, and it's going to be nice to kind of get things going and see it all come to fruition. It's like I don't know, it's like a nice piece of art. Like you work this time on this one piece, and now it's done, and you can just kind of sit back and enjoy it. And so I want to sit back and enjoy this. It's going to be.
Daniel, while I'm thinking about it, because you said options, put it out there for you, Wyatt. Like my schedule is something that I take seriously, top to bottom. Very, very minimal weekends where I'm not somewhere. I scratched going to Jacksonville for the CBC there. I got to come to Houston. First of all, I take my son with me everywhere. He loves Houston. He loves NASA, all that stuff. He's actually a Mississippi State fan, but to have Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Mississippi State there, to be, at Minute Maid, which Daniel will tell you when I was there a couple of years ago, I had nothing but good things to say. I was like, man, I got to go to Houston. So I actually look forward to seeing elite talent in a big league park early, Daniel. So that's options right there. And I made a change. I'm going to see the A&M boys. And
I love it. Love to hear it. I think it's gonna be awesome.
You should feel special because he threw me to the side.
I was supposed to. He lives in Florida. I was supposed to meet him.
I'm biased, but I think you made a good choice there.
I mean,
we won't let you down.
We'll see. Come July, we'll see.
Well, what I love though in this situation, Wyatt, is the three teams that I mentioned are not playing each other, and they all have guests of our team. So I don't have to like pick one of the two to root for or whatever. In this situation, I can root for all three that have our guests. And hope everything goes well, and it'll be smooth. So what we need, Daniel, is SEC to just cruise.
I don't foresee that not happening.
I mean, hey, you remember the college baseball showdown in 2021 against the Big 12, where it was supposed to be,
it was ugly
thing, top 10 teams, and then the SEC absolutely owned them.
Yep.
Yeah, it was ugly.
The irony was Mississippi State, who won the national championship, was the only one that lost.
Yeah. And everybody lost their mind. They were like, oh. It's crazy.
There's no fan base that loses their mind on Twitter more than when Mississippi State loses. But I could do that all day.
Yeah. All right, Wyatt. We're going to get into the game before you bounce out of here. It's called This or That. This is a game that over 500 people have played, and nobody has turned us down on playing. So I hope you're not going to be the first one to do that.
Absolutely not. I'm ready to go.
All right. It's very simple. I'm going to give you two options. You choose one option or the other. Can't say both. Can't say neither. Just be decisive. Go with your gut. Go with your heart. Go with whatever you like. So, with that, Jim, who's this or that brought to you by?
I want to plug Chinook again, just because our boy Ryan Prager is an ambassador. Put in his code Prager9 at the checkout. You help him out. You'll help yourself out. But got to bring up Old Dominic Distillery, Daniel, in the heart of downtown Memphis. Bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin. Daniel. Man, it's just, and especially right now while it's cold, you can't go wrong.
I'm telling you.
But let's look at this video. I had a new video set, Daniel, that one I sent you with the barrels, but I didn't get it uploaded in time. Coming back from Disney to hurry up and get this show done. Why? But I got our old one. I'm just going to run it real quick. And Daniel, remember, drink responsibly. It's actually been a few episodes since we had someone of drinking age that we were talking to. So I ain't got to do all that.
Yeah. But as always, we feel that way. Drink responsibly. If you had a little too much, call Jim. He'll come back.
Nothing better, Wyatt, than having a 18-year-old freshman on here, and I'm endorsing alcohol.
I can't do it.
Well, I'm well old enough. I've been around here too long.
Well,
him and Hayden Schott battling for oldest dude on the team.
I'm telling you, I hadn't seen a graphic with Wyatt's name out there, but I've seen a graphic with Hayden's name out there.
What's funny is he's upset about being number 2, because you want to be number 1 in everything. Number 2,
Absolutely.
No matter what it is, sucks.
I mean, if you're gonna be old, you might as well be the oldest.
Yeah, you
right?
might as well be the guy.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Out the gate. First question: coffee or energy drink?
Coffee, easy.
That's what we're talking about. That is a old, mature college answer. Coffee.
I'm 40 and I still don't drink it. What you talking about?
I mean, How do you take your coffee? You put a bunch of junk in it, or you just take it
No,
straight?
no. I mean, I mix it up. I mean, I'm a big coffee in the morning guy. When it's like, when it's below 45, I'd like a hot coffee. But I'm a big cold iced coffee guy. Cold brew, a little bit in it.
I check it out when I see you in Houston. If you don't already have some, because I think they should be in your dugout, but take some cinnamon toast seeds, throw them in your coffee, let it simmer. Oh man, change your life.
I'm gonna have to give that a try. I never heard of that.
Yeah, there's so many things you can do with Chinook seeds. I mean, just mix and match, make your own flavor combo.
I'm learning.
Just don't do what them LSU guys do. As much as I'm an LSU fan, they're weird and mix them with sour Skittles.
That's messed up. Anyways, all right. Chicken or steak?
Steak, easy.
Yeah. What's your cut of choice?
I really like a New York strip.
Okay. All right. New York. Got to stay true.
Yeah.
All right. You got some brains on you. So like, if you had to choose one or the other, which would you pick? A math class or an English class?
Math. I'm too calculated for English.
Yeah, it's I'm the opposite. I'm not a numbers guy, and I tell everybody this. I threw a party, like a legit party for my last college math class that I ever had to take. Like it was a big deal for me.
The thing is, being a numbers guy doesn't always. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say the thing is, being a numbers guy doesn't always matter, Daniel. I used to get in trouble in school because I would sleep during class or not be there during class, and then I answer everything right, and he accused me of cheating because I didn't show my work. But I didn't like to write that stuff out, man. I just work it in my head.
False.
Exactly.
Had that TI-83 just going to work.
No, I'm not even talking about using a calculator, but I mean, it didn't help me that I'd be drooling on my desk during algebra.
No, not at all. All right. Action movies or dramas? Or
definitely
thrillers?
action. 100%.
What's the last movie you saw?
Me, Hayden Schott, and Troy Wansing were watching London Has Fallen. We watched that, and Angel Has Fallen, or White House Down. One of those. We were watching those the other day.
Nice.
Good movie. A lot of just action, just violence. Good old save the president type thing.
A lot of explosion, a lot of just intense
Daniel
gunfights and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel, guess what I finally watched the other day because me and my wife wanted to finally watch it before we went back to Disney. I had never seen Star Wars, and we watched the first 3 of them before we went just so we could appreciate the rides. Is that because it's been so long since I've seen it or because I had watched it in general?
I'm going to tell y'all something, and there's going to be a lot
Oh, you're going
of haters.
overrated.
It is so overrated. Star Wars is the most overrated
I'm not some
movie franchise
huge fan of it
time.
now, but I ride the rides and I don't even know what they're about. I needed to be able to understand what I'm doing here.
And you still don't know what you're doing, right?
No. I
I
know that I'd be on the dark side though. I'm sure that doesn't surprise you.
Wyatt, are you a Star Wars guy?
I've watched them all probably twice each, but I wouldn't say I'm a diehard. I'd probably forget most of it if I'm being honest.
He's so shocked by that answer it froze him.
Yeah, I was about to say he must be so disgusted with me.
I was. I had to. My computer just didn't know how to act. It heard that and it was like, oh.
I know. I wish I was more into it, but
yeah, I don't. Thankfully, I don't need to watch anything else. All right, now on to baseball. Let's get to baseball. All right, where are you looking forward to playing? At Tennessee, at Texas, or at Arkansas?
I think, and I feel like a lot of people would agree. I mean, definitely historically, Arkansas is definitely the most, of these 3, probably the most electric atmosphere. Those fans at Texas are kind of, but
let me tell you, the word you used was electric.
Is going to get kind of ugly if I had to guess.
Yeah, you used electric. I'm going to use volatile.
Yeah, there's going to be something. I mean, you just know. I don't know.
I hope y'all go in there and sweep them. Oh, I do because I went there last year and watched them sweep LSU, and they were nasty. I need to see revenge from somebody.
I mean, these are all big. I mean, I think if I was on the team last year, I'm sure I'd say Tennessee higher, but that Texas game, man, I think there's a lot of
your hardest series are definitely on the road. LSU. Obviously you can't overlook anybody in the SEC, but of the 4 top teams that y'all are playing outside yourself, 3 of them are definitely on the road. So
Yeah, and I mean you mix in like Georgia and Vanderbilt away are no gimmies. So our schedule is pretty legit.
Man,
I think
y'all are
it's
going to wax Vandy. I didn't see Georgia on there, so yeah, that one's legit. But y'all gonna take care of it. Me and Daniel love to hate on Vandy. Other than Ryan Ginther, our boy who came on here, and we just did that because no one said we'd ever interview Vandy because we always said we wouldn't. We did one Vandy and one Florida because we live to hate on them.
You gotta have your favorites. That's fine.
All right, this might get you into some hot water, but we're gonna ask. All right, who hits better bombs, Gavin or Jace?
Yeah, this is the toughest one.
We did it to the Tennessee players last year.
I have to go with Jace. Just I mean more so because I've seen more of it. Just because they were both kind of dinged up in the fall, but I mean I saw Jace hit one off the train the other day or in the fall. So I think that's pretty hard to beat. A moving train.
What I want to know is who
480 on the track, man. I mean, that's hard to beat.
What I want to know is who you think hits more. He has better. I want to know who you think hits more
this year.
Mm-hmm. Because I think it's going to be Gavin because they're going to make the mistake of always pitching around Jason. Gavin's just going to be the guy who feasts because for some reason they rate him as the third. I can't believe, Daniel, he's third team. What a joke.
Yeah, I don't know. They're both going to put on a show this year. I'm excited to see it. They're going to put on a show no matter what. I think they're both going to be over 25 easy.
I got an interesting question for you that I didn't think to ask. Is he going to the outfield since you're at third base? Is what it's looking like, or what are we doing? Because
Gavin.
Yeah.
I think I don't think anyone really knows. If I'm being honest, we're just kind of, I think the beauty of what our locker room is, it's competitive enough and winning focused enough that no one's too worried about it yet. So there's been we've both been practicing the infield still, but I think if you ask Gavin and me, I think we both like to say we're pretty humble guys. I think we're really willing to do whatever it takes.
Well, I only mentioned him to the outfield because I knew that, he actually, it's interesting when we had him on, I would have never known it just from watching him, but he was like the number one ranked outfielder wherever he came from. And so obviously, he can play it. And then obviously y'all have the DH available. It's a good problem to have too many guys, but I thought about it seeing you play third and I thought, they do have a couple legit third basemen.
I'll give Gavin the props, though. He is way more athletic than me. So if there was a guy that could move around more, it is him. So no, but Gav's an unbelievable player and a super humble kid. So really excited to see what he's able to do this
But even if you're that, look, we laughed last year because he's a multi-time guest of the show. But Charlie Condon was always funny. They just needed his bat in the lineup. So that one weekend, Daniel, you remember he played third base, left field and right field because they just needed him in the lineup. So we'll just stick you wherever.
Yeah. I mean, you're rattling off some big guests. I'm the schmuck smart kid from up north. So
nah, man.
That's it's you said it. Like it is very hard to have a winning, centered like mindset where winning overall matters without like having like an ego hurt. Especially when you're talking about guys that have been there and done it. And like, there might be some feelings one way or another, but it's nice to hear like, no, we are whatever it takes to win. Like if that means that I gotta sit out for a series for us to have the best chance to win, then that's what it is. I'm going to be the best day player on the bench that we have.
Yeah.
But what I
know
do
Prager talks about it a lot. I know I think you guys have at least mentioned him earlier. Yeah. I mean, he's the definition of that. I mean, he opted out of a lot of money to be able to come back and win. And I think that's the epitome of what,
the second that he did that, I reached out to him to book him because I was like, I want to talk to a guy who wants to come back with his team and win a championship. You're my kind of guy.
Absolutely. All right, Wyatt, this is a big one. All right. Would you rather spend 5 years in jail or 10 years in a coma?
I think I would actually probably take the coma. I think I'm a really in-depth thinker, and I think 5 years in jail would really mess me up. But I think 10 years in a coma might mess me up physically, but at least mentally I'd come out and just be like, what the heck happened? You know what I mean? So I think that's what I'd go with. That's a really creative question, though.
Thank you. How long have we been using that question? For a while.
On and off for the whole thing. I think
you need to keep that one. That's a good one.
It's a very thought-provoking question. I mean,
that's a good one, but he's fixing to really hit you with
I'm
one on the
fixing to
last.
blow your mind. I'm gonna give you a question that we don't just give everybody. Like
boy.
it's a good one. All right. I'll jump to that now. This is a hypothetical. So you gotta put yourself in the space. All right. So here's what we got. All right. You go home for the summer and you're helping your parents, clean out the attic or the basement. You guys got basements in Pennsylvania, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
All
yeah.
right,
I
so
got
you
living room.
cleaning
Now.
out. Yeah, you cleaning out the basement and you come across this book. All right. And this book, you pick it up and you're like dusting it off and dust flying everywhere. You open the cobwebs are coming out of it and you go, huh, let me start reading this. And as you read it, you realize that it's the story of your life. You're reading one page, you're 10 pages in, and it's, you're 100 pages in before you know it. And it's exactly to a T what your life has been. You get a few hundred pages in the book and you're here today with us doing a podcast. So I ask you, do you continue to read this book and find out like how your life ends? Or do you put it down once you get to present day and you go, you know what? I'm good.
I mean, yeah, that's a doozy of a question. That's a really good question. I think I'd hope that I'd have the courage to stop reading, and so I can continue to live freely and maybe pick it up again one day. But I'm also such a curious person. I'm sure it would nag me, and maybe a month later I'd find myself back in that basement reading that book. But just to see if it's real. But no, I think I'd like to think I'd put it down and just kind of
That's
trust.
why I said I would burn it because I'm like you. I would have the itch. So I'd
be.
What
That's a great
if?
Question.
I'm gonna blow your mind even further. All right.
All right. Yeah,
What if you read it and you're at present day and you go, oh shoot, there's only 2 pages left in this book. Then what do you do?
I'd probably assume death in 2 pages. So I'd probably be a little reckless for a little bit, and not too reckless, but like probably just spend whatever money I have and go on a vacation or something. Just assume. And I'd probably drive myself crazy. I bet I get to that second day and I was too lazy to keep writing the book about myself. I'm probably fine. So it would probably be me psyching myself
keep
out.
the bank account to find out that not gonna die.
Yeah, exactly. What little money I have left, I'm in Hawaii for a week.
Here lies Wyatt. He put everything on red.
Yeah, literally the roulette table, man.
Oh man, Wyatt, dude, it's been a blast. I appreciate you coming on. Anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here?
No, gig 'em. Let's have a good year. I'm excited to be an Aggie.
Look, I'm gonna do you one better. All right, all y'all people out in College Station. All right, there's a very important day coming up. It's Valentine's Day, and what better way to celebrate with the love of your life than to go to an Aggie baseball game?
Absolutely, grab a beer.
Yep, grab a beer. Grab some chocolates, grab your best bag of Chinook sunflower seeds, and go enjoy the day. It's your day to love baseball and to love each other. And if you want to see an absolute Valentine's Day massacre, look no further than Bluebell Park, because Elon, let me tell you something. You're coming in and you don't even know what you're coming. Maybe you do, but let me tell you something. It's going to be worse than you could even imagine. So get ready.
I just know their coach better decide that the 10 run rule limit is in effect.
It better
that
be.
Was awesome. That was way better than what I could have given. But yeah, Valentine's Day, first game. That's huge.
That is huge.
Great sales pitch. I'd be there if I'm listening to this podcast. You kidding? Probably wouldn't have a girl, but
be in the air,
solo.
Baby. Well, Wyatt, dude, we're gonna let you bounce. We appreciate you coming on. We hope you have a happy, a successful, a safe, injury-free, and who knows, if all the stars align, it could be a magical run. And if it is, we're gonna bring you back on. And we're gonna talk about it, man.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Had a blast.
Absolutely. That is Wyatt Henseler, everybody. If you like hearing Wyatt's story, or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like, share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on X, listen and subscribe wherever you stream your podcast. Head over to YouTube, click like, click subscribe, click notifications. That way you're the first to know when new content drops, because it's always dropping, because Jim's got it dropping like it's hot every day. But with that, Jim, it's a big week. What we got going on this week? Let me know.
Henry Ford from Virginia tomorrow, and then AJ Russell from Tennessee, and then Pros and Joes is going, man. I don't even got time to list it off, but me and Mike got 3 episodes of duos, former and off the bench guests that are now on the pros. So stay tuned.
Oh man, it's gonna be live. It's gonna be wild. Got a lot of baseball, a lot of Pros and Joes, a lot of good content coming your way. So don't miss out. This has been the Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We're out.